Hello. So today we are doing a personality typing with Habib. That's me. And the subject is Dua Lipa. So, yeah, as usual, there's no type accuracy guarantees. And let's get started. We're going to do a recap on the previous episode. And then we're going to get into the meat of the episode, which is going to be reviewing different video clips of Dua Lipa so that we can understand her personality type. And this will help us understand ourselves and different peoples in society. That's kind of the idea. And then I'll share my final guess as to what Dua Lipa's personality type is. And then finally, I'll share who we're going to be typing for the next episode, which is in 2 weeks. Yeah, so previously on Live Informal Typing, we had Francesca Albanese, and I still see her as an INFP. And so that is double feminine, FINE, consume, play, blast, sleep last, number 3. So, yeah, I considered the TI version, but I was seeing a lot of feeling there, a lot of talking about what is the high priority and what is valued. And yeah, and is it for sure that this is the type? Maybe not, but I feel pretty good about it. But yeah, that was one of the longer episodes. But that's definitely a good one to check out, though, if you want to get to know an INFP that has standards and is very specialized in her field. Yeah, so today we are typing Dua Lipa. So my first impression was some kind of SE first person, like an ESFP or an ESTP, something like that. But yeah, when I kind of watched her talk, I could see more of like an STP vibe, where she has some kind of truth, possibly, or some kind of train of thought that I could follow. And so, yeah, I was seeing a lot of the Beta Quadra, kind of like, Michaela Peterson and Florence Pugh. And then, yeah, a little bit of the ESFP of Gal Gadot. And then there's some ISTPs here, Billie Eilish and Danica Patrick. I think that, it's interesting to see, potentially an STP female, because there's not that many that we know of, at least in our database of personality types and examples. You get a lot of STP men, right? Like race car driver, right? With Danica Patrick, but you get a lot of men of that type, but you don't have as many women of that type. So it's going to be very interesting to get to know what this type of person is like, because chances are there's a lot more of them in the wild. And the people that I was being reminded of for Dua Lipa, they all happen to be, masculine SE women. So, yeah, the interview clips, we're going to get into it. And the first one is just getting to know Dua Lipa. And we're going to have 6 videos today, but hopefully we can get through them relatively quickly, and just show most of her parts, maybe some of them. It's 11 coins is a lot to prove. So let's get into it.
Cut short. How is Dua Lipa pronounced? Dua Lipa. It's quite easy, although growing up, I feel like it was really difficult for lots of teachers and people to pronounce it. How tall is Dua Lipa feet? 5'8", and my feet size 6 UK. How to get Dua Lipa hair? On occasion, a lot of it is bought and glued in. That's quite easy. I feel like anyone could do that. But other than that, I struggle to try and make it look nice. Bad hair days are kind of my thing. What is homesick Dua Lipa about? It was really, I'd spent so much time away from London, and then it started pouring with rain in Los Angeles, and it just made me miss London so much. That's what homesick was about, was trying to get back home. What are Dua Lipa rules? Work hard and be nice. What is Dua Lipa's zodiac sign? I'm a Leo, but I'm also a Libra rising and a Cancer moon. So I'm emotional as but then really tough. So don't mess with me. What is Dua Lipa's middle name? I don't have a middle name. It's just Dua Lipa. Kind of wish I did. What is Electricity Dua Lipa about? It's about love feeling so electric and
Okay, so that was good to get to know Dua Lipa a little bit. What comes off to me is my initial impression of STP is kind of lining up. She's a bit of a straight shooter and is telling you the facts. She's not really wiggling around that much. You know, I'm ST myself, and it's really difficult to, you know, if someone asks you what your height is, it's hard to like lie about that. And she's not really even trying to do that or, you know, make a joke out of it. So she seems like a straight shooter, and then you see her slowing down when there's the intuitive questions, like when she's talking about astrology or you know, her signs, right? And yeah, that's just good to keep track of. That's just the first clip, so let's keep going. The next one we're gonna see, you know, I mentioned ESFP, and then there's also ESTP. So like, we want to get a handle on it pretty quickly of, you know, is this TI? Is her identity, you know, more getting filtered through thinking, or is it getting more filtered through feeling when she's creating that, you know, identity of herself? Yeah, let's see. So we can see this through language, right? So how is she using language? How is she using her ability to describe thoughts and values and such? So let's take a look here.
That my friend told me, I was doing an interview with him, and he was like, you know what the world needs is radical optimism. And I lived with that thought for so long, and it just became more and more prevalent as time went on.
Oh, wow, your handwriting is great. Look at your handwriting. It's neat.
4th of February is when I started.
Well, your S is like, oh yeah, okay.
Where he's in the...
There's your S's there, yeah. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, 4th of February was when I started writing. I have so many like notes and letters and stuff. And
does it get really personal? Like, I would never ask, but would you be trepidatious to let someone just rifle through that because there's things in there that inspire?
Yeah, I would. There's also this thing of like, you know, every single song that I've written for this record is on here, and not every single one is good. So I feel like I always have to like write myself into a good idea. So there's a lot of scribbles, there's a lot of songs that I'm like, we'll skip that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's also like some great songs that might never see the light of day that is just beautiful to have because it's like a diary.
So how does a great song not get finished and released on Radical Optimism? How does that not happen?
Either I've lost connection to them in a personal way, or sonically I felt like it just didn't fit.
You know what I really love when I see notebooks like this and I realize the people who are writing in them are treating each page almost like another piece of art. Like I like the way that you write down with the side here, and it doesn't feel...
Yeah, they're all kind of like scribbled.
Even the way you scribble out is so, like, look at the way you scribble. Like, what was under there?
Yeah,
that's what I don't want to know.
That is like something I really don't want to do.
That is like
that is
cancelled. That is a thought
like,
that has
you're never gonna see that one again.
All right, so that was really good because, you know, Zane Lowe on the other side, the interviewer, he has introverted intuition first. So that introverted intuition is something that he's using frequently. He's using it higher. It doesn't mean that it's better than Dua's, right? It just means that he is writing down probably lots of ideas, but he can see the valence or the electricity of this, you know, scribbled out section of her notebook. And that's where, you know, what happens is when you talk to the NI folks, they're kind of pulling out the meaningful parts of your speech, your writings, you know, that's what they're looking for. And so Dua, of course, is going to be a bit more shy about that. But, you know, it was interesting to see, you know, we're using this clip to see TI versus FE, and the way she talks about ideas and thoughts. Like, for example, she has to write herself into a good idea, and then, you know, just losing connection with some thoughts or ideas, or it sonically doesn't fit, you know. That section there was like the first part was very clearly kind of like the TI aspect, and then the other one is like, oh, it doesn't FE jive, you know, with the, from kind of like an audio perspective, which would makes sense when you see what her type is, that's how she's kind of receiving the audio signals of what she's listening to and her words. Yeah, so the next clip, so that was a lot, and but yeah, we're gonna keep going because we have 6 total, and we're 1/3 the way there. This is a really good one because, you know, if she is an STP, you know, and I'm saying she's probably like an ESTP because she's has that TIFE axis. You know, we'll get to see it more in the future clips. We'll get to see it, but Stephen Colbert is the opposite type, so we're gonna get some contrast between, you know, the SEFE functions and the NETE functions. So but the point of this clip is more about seeing a little bit of the social type. But yeah, and then further just looking at, can we confirm this is an ESTP? Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. So she is kind of the authority on traveling, going to places. That is actually, you know, you could say the extroverted intuitives are traveling, but also the extroverted sensing people are also traveling. And so when, you know, the SE folks are traveling, you'll get the reviews of like which restaurants are good, which food is good, the spicy food, the tom yum soup, you know. And so Colbert asks her to sell him on, you know, Bangkok. And of course, she can't do that because EPs are exploring. Dua Lipa is no different. She doesn't just want to, you know, put on a show somewhere. She also wants to explore the world because the world is not some small one country. You know, get out, get your passport, get your shit together, go. And yeah, so anyway, Dua Lipa, at least in this clip, she's also addressing kind of the grounded nature that she has in terms of like when she's going out as a famous person, she doesn't really think of it that way. She just goes out. So that's something I'm saying is a little bit more close to a social 3 or 4. And even if she's a social 1 or 2, you know, that's fine. You know, I don't care if the math actually works out that way, because what happens is that I see that the social 3s and 4s, they are the type to more downplay what they're doing. Even if they are a big deal, they'll be like, all right, well, I still want to connect with everybody. I still want to be on that lower level. I care about the job, the process. And so it's so I'm thinking that she is either a social 3 or 4 at this point, but you know, that's just one data point. And something I noticed about the social 3s and 4s that I see coming out here. Yeah, so anyway, the next clip, there's just so much that can get proven by these little clips. But this one is an interesting one because Stephen Colbert is consume, play, blast, sleep fourth, right? Sleep last. And he does a sleep check on Dua Lipa of like, are you sleeping enough? And if this happens to you, then you might not be sleeping enough. If someone who is very extroverted is saying, hey, maybe you might want to slow down. Okay, we got the it works for me. Can we get TI for that? Yeah, that's the whole introverted thinking, it works for me. But it's funny that, you know, when you are that extroverted, one thing is that she's younger, right? She's younger than Colbert, but also extroverts are going so fast in life that, you know, they need someone to help them rest, take some rest. I mean, she doesn't need to go out clubbing after her shows, but that's what she does. You know, what are the introverts doing? What's Billie Eilish going to be doing? You know, what is a consumed sleep person going to be doing? So that's kind of what I'm testing for. That's what I'm looking at when it comes to typology and all this. You know, you can transcend, you know, your issues, but, you know, sometimes they're a little clear to see. And it's just good to know, you know, if you're an extrovert, you're going to extrovert. And that's just part of life. But yeah, speaking of extroverted functions, we're going to get to see a few clips of her with Seth Meyers. So that's with, you know, again, opposite functions. But Seth Meyers is more energy dom, so that's more my speed. Because I was trying to see, is she information dominant or energy dominant? But yeah, she kind of plays along with Seth Meyers, and yeah, we get to see a few different coins.
Camera together and be like, we don't care what you guys think. Look, Dua and I are living our best life. We're going to drink this and we're going to smile like it was good.
And there's the, the fake FE smile. I mean, you're supposed to, at that point, pretend that you like what you're doing. But, Seth can't even fake it here. That's a funny place to pause. But yeah, so what we saw in that previous clip was that, Dua has a cool jacket. She's kind of the cool person there. And Seth Meyers is acting like the witty person. He has all these references and things, the any references, and he's looking at what works. And he's, doing this whole card game where you're mixing different ingredients together. And anyway, so it's good to see like these opposite types because you get such a contrast. And the next one, you're going to see her trying to play the FE game with Seth, which will make him a little bit uncomfortable, but not in a weird way. But, just it's fun to see, the extroverted feeling function in action. So that's like the introverted feeling. Of course, Seth has a favorite, but yeah, he can't really share it because it's personal, right? And then there's a little bit more here where Seth asks Dua a question and she can't really answer. That's the FE game of like, I better not, go after the valuable tribe member because I'm going to get hurt. They understand if you're playing the FE game, she's not even going to explain it because it's so obvious to those who are able to leverage the FE spectrum. And so where I would, in that position, I would explain it away, right? I would have to use TE to explain the weird FI situation there of like why I'm not going to answer that. But it's extremely obvious to the extroverted feeling. So in the next clip, we're just going to get a little bit more evidence as to the EP side of things. And it's just the end of this interview. So it was a good vibe, good energy. And let's see how it ends.
Emmys and BAFTAs to John Oliver.
All right. Yeah, I will be leaving those videos in the description if you want to check out the rest of the context and all that. But yeah, so that was just a good indication of like the EP. And this is a continuation of that story. This is a continuation where she actually did get a little drunk. And so, could not finish the show there. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be an explanation of it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we're going to get a little bit of an explanation in this video here. So let's just get there. But yeah, it's very much an EP, and we'll see very much a extroverted sensing situation. I wasn't prepared. That's very much, an I-4th situation. Yep. Let's see. Let's hear the rest of it. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. But basically, yeah, so that was Dua Lipa just being herself. And like so many of us, ESFPs and ESTPs, just having too good of a time. And and then people are waiting for us 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, and then we're gone. It happens. And I would say that's also a point for play over sleep, extrovertism, being an extrovert, and then just not being able to put the rest or the brakes on when you need it. And then you have the unplanned downtime. And you need to maintain yourself. And so, yeah, you're going to be sleeping in some random bathroom and it's and pulled out in a wheelchair. That's just it comes with the territory of being an EP. So specifically ESxP at that point. I'm not going to let the ESFPs get away with not being included in that because we do that too. So yeah, finally, this is going to be the last clip where we get to see a little bit more of the SEFE play back and forth with Jimmy Fallon. And really, it's just going to be a good note to end on because there's some wisdom that Dua Lipa has. And we get to hear how she, how she conquered some area of her life. And I feel like that's a good way to end the clips. Yeah, I think you're cool. Yep, that's what you get with an ESTP. Really cool person. But yeah, one other thing, what's on the other side of SEFE? You got some TINI play, sleep, right? So that's the kind of the nerdy, she has a book club, right? And you have Margaret Atwood here, who did the book of The Handmaid's Tale. And yeah, she runs this whole like a YouTube channel, or at least is part of it. And yeah, she does a whole book club thing. And so I'm seeing a little bit of specialization there. But yeah, back to the clip with Jimmy, you saw some SEFE, and then you saw the kind of wisdom of her integrating the lesson of NI, of reclaiming the dark narrative. Yeah, I'm kind of doing things out of order, but yeah, like the point of showing this clip was that, the feel good story is that, people are making fun of the way she does things, her process, right? And you can feel grief about it. You can feel insecure about it, but then she kind of reclaimed that narrative and reclaim that story. If people are making things up online, she has her own story about what she does, her own dance, and and then she's just moving forward, and rewriting the story of her life. And yeah, you got to do that. You got to have the power and be the most powerful person talking about yourself, because people are always going to talk and throw rotten tomatoes or something, but you got to come up with a good story for yourself to just keep going. But yeah, anyway, the book club points to specialization. And yeah, it's time to narrow down the guess. I've talked enough about all these different things about an ESTP versus ESFP. Let's get started on narrowing down. We got the EP, of course, and it's not just an EP, but it's Self Before Tribe. I didn't show this clip with Drew Barrymore, but Drew Barrymore did her thing of kind of praising Dua Lipa. And yeah, Dua was able to kind of absorb it very much the way Self Above Tribe people do, right? And so, yeah, there's that. I mean, I guess there's a possibility that she could be a play consume, but I'm seeing a lot stronger on the self above tribe situation. And yeah, this is SE, not NE. That's why she's got the cool jacket, and it's more effortless. It's not this, built up SI situation. Yeah, so feels good to be in this region. This is pretty safe. And now we're getting a bit more dangerous. This is one of the narrowed down possibilities. But I didn't really look into this version as much because this is just saying consume play, which I did prove in this video, or at least attempt to prove. But my actual narrow down in my personal typing process was that she's information dominant. You saw with the book club thing that I kind of looked at, separately outside of this video, right? It feels like she's giving more information, or attempting to give more information. It might still be wrong, it still might be, but she seems to be playing some kind of information game. Yeah, it might not be true, but at least that's what I was seeing when I was typing her. Is she more energy dominant like Seth Meyers, or is she more information dominant like Stephen Colbert? That's a guess. Anyway, so this is how I'm narrowing down. If Colbert tells you need more sleep, then I'm gonna go with sleep last. But yeah, thinking over feeling, that's a whole different one. She does what works for her. She looks at her ideas, she refines them, tries to perfect her ideas, and yeah, that sounds like tinkering to me. So yeah, my initial guess is ESTP standard, MFSETI, consume, play, blast, sleep last, number 3. So I'm seeing MF, that's masculine sensing, because I feel like she is able to kind of fight just like the people I was reminded of. Now it's possible she's double feminine. It's possible that I don't see that she's going to be double masculine, but yeah, anyway, I see that she's kind of in between the double feminine and the double masculine. But anyway, this is my guess, no guarantees. The other guess I would be working with is an ESFP, right? Or consume, play, sleep, or it's a number 4 instead of a number 3. I could have put double feminine here. She can come off like similar types. These are basically cousin types, but but what I'm seeing is my final guess is, yeah, she's a standard ESTP specialist, MFSETI, consume, play, blast, sleep, blast. But yeah, just an extroverted, self-driven ESTP, performing and doing a really good job. A straight shooter, a hard worker. You know, she even said that at some point. And yeah, it was really a good time typing her and figuring out what she's all about and how her brain works and what kind of person can produce all this really good work. I mean, I actually like her music, but I haven't really stopped to listen to it too much. I've been listening to her interviews and stuff for the typing. But yeah, it was a really good chance to get to know someone who is also standing up for human rights. It's really this is really a good person, and I would probably, tune into what she's doing. And she's also young, so she's going to be around hopefully, and we'll get to see more. And yeah, I'll let you know if I revise the type at all, but this is what I have today. An ESTP, that's cool. Yeah. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to be typing Liam Cunningham. So he's an actor, an Irish actor, and he was in Game of Thrones. And yeah, he also, stands up for human rights. And that'll be in 2 weeks. I believe it's March 13th. I'll see you then. And yeah, thank you for watching, like, and subscribe. It's been my pleasure. Effie.